Hey everybody, my name is Sam Parrott and I'm the Executive Director of Spartanburg Area Conservancy, also known as SPACE. And SPACE is a land conservation organization, a land trust. And a land trust is an organization, a local organization that pursues the conservation and permanent protection of properties that are family farms, ecologically important natural areas, river corridor properties that we deem are important to protecting wildlife habitat and our wonderful natural resources here in Spartanburg. Phase one of our project is centered completely around invasive species removal. So what is an invasive species? An invasive species is a non-native plant, which means it did not occur naturally on our landscape here in Spartanburg County, but it also has to have a few other characteristics as well. It's non-native, it reproduces rapidly, and it outcompetes our native plants for the resources that they need. One of the most common invasive species that we have on the landscape is Chinese privet. This is an example of a small Chinese privet in my hand, and it's an extremely easy plant to remove at this size. You can grab it and pull it right out of the ground and kill it, essentially. However, if you don't tackle your invasive species at this size, in just a few years, this plant will turn into a plant of this size. And the reason we want to prevent that is, one, plants of this size produce berries that are transported across the landscape, which helps this plant reproduce rapidly. And then two, this plant also outcompetes our native plants for the resources that they need, which is one, sunlight. It's shading out sunlight to the forest floor. And then also real estate, primo real estate, ground, soil that it needs to grow. So this is the first plant that we're going to focus on removing from the Upper Chinquapin Greenway. All right, the next group of invasive species that we're going to talk about are elaeagnus. So on the left, this is a Russian olive, or elaeagnus angustifolia. On my right is elaeagnus umbellata, or autumn olive. I have an autumn olive branch in my hand. The main way to identify this group of plants is the silver underside on the bottom of the leaves. Additionally, if you can see, there's thorns on this plant as well, so it's important to wear our gloves. For plants of this size, we can grab and pull these out of the ground, just like we did with the privet. For large plants like this autumn olive to my right, we're gonna have to cut it, and then we're gonna have to treat that stump. Again, the reason that it's important to remove plants like this from the landscape, it's elaeagnus umbellata, umbrella. So what it's doing is it's creating an umbrella that's capturing all the sunlight from above, and then nothing can grow underneath this plant. So our native plants all the resources are being taken from them. So this is an excellent plant to remove from the landscape. So this is the last invasive species that we'll be highlighting today, and it's called multiflora rose. And I'm wearing gloves because it's a rose. It has thorns on it like any standard rose plant, but it is an invasive from Asia. It's got these kind of teardrop-shaped leaves that are serrated, and it's a pretty easily identified plant. But again, like many of the other plants that we've looked at, you can just grab it and pull it straight out of the ground wearing gloves so the thorns don't get you on your hands. You usually find multiflora rose growing along rivers, and it is another invasive that just reproduces rapidly and can really take over an area fast.
My name is Lynn Rhodes. I'm the land manager with SPACE. One thing to look out for while removing invasive species is poison ivy. It's got 3 leaves, a fuzzy vine, and remember, 3 leaves, let it be.
If left untreated, this is what a forest can look like that is dominated by invasive species, in this case, privet. If you look over my shoulder, the majority of the trees that you're seeing are mature Chinese privet trees. And look at the understory. Underneath those trees, there is absolutely nothing growing in the understory. There's no lush native plants, and that's because those privet trees have grown up and shaded everything out. So this is a perfect place to go in and do a big invasive species removal project. Once you get that sunlight hitting the forest floor, those really nice, lush native plants are gonna come up. So here we are at the Edwin M. Griffin Preserve, which is a property that is owned and managed by SPACE. And right here, we have just completed a 5-year invasive species removal project. Look behind me. Look at the understory. We've got a lush understory full of native species that I'm really excited about. I see a bunch right around me like yellow wingstem. This is a pawpaw tree coming up beside me. I've got native oats, river oats growing at my feet, and I can see pokeweed right off in the distance. So this is what we're looking for when we're undertaking this invasive species removal project. A really lush understory that is full of native plants that are great for our native wildlife species by providing high quality cover, high quality forage, and it's pretty to look at too. This is why we're so excited about this invasive species removal project.